The 1970s were a challenging decade for American automakers. While the era gave us some iconic land yachts, it also produced some of the most problematic full-size cars ever to roll off an American assembly line. Today, we're counting down 8 full-size vehicles from the 1970s that turned the dream of luxury motoring into an expensive nightmare for their owners. These weren't just disappointing cars, they were mechanical disasters that damaged reputations and cost manufacturers millions in recalls. Let's get started. Number 8. 1975 Chrysler Imperial. The Imperial was supposed to be Chrysler's answer to Cadillac and Lincoln, a flagship luxury vehicle that represented the pinnacle of American engineering. Instead, the 1975 model became a symbol of everything wrong with 1970s automotive design. This massive car arrived just in time for the ongoing oil crisis, featuring outdated styling that looked more 1960s than modern. At over 230 inches long and weighing nearly 5,000 pounds, it was powered by the 440 cubic inch V8 that delivered fuel economy in the single digits. Reliability was a constant issue, with quality control problems stemming from rushed production and dated engineering. The Imperial suffered from electrical gremlins, paint problems, and mechanical failures that frustrated owners who had paid premium prices for these luxury barges. The timing couldn't have been worse, as fuel prices remained high while build quality declined. Number 7. 1979 Lincoln Continental Mark V. Lincoln's Mark V should have been a slam dunk. It was slightly lighter than its predecessor and offered more trunk space, representing progress in the downsizing era. However, the execution was severely compromised by Ford's deteriorating quality control throughout the 1970s. The Mark V stretched an enormous 230 inches in length, making it one of the largest personal luxury coupes ever built. Despite its luxurious appointments and designer trim packages from Bill Blass, Givenchy, and Pucci, the car was plagued by defects that Lincoln dealers struggled to repair. Owners reported numerous electrical problems, failing power accessories, and general fit and finish issues that were unacceptable for a vehicle costing over $9,000. The hidden headlamp covers were notoriously unreliable and often disabled by frustrated owners. While some well-maintained examples proved reliable, the Mark V's reputation for defects drove many luxury car buyers toward Mercedes-Benz, which emphasized engineering quality over opera windows and designer badges. Number 6. 1976 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. The 1976 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham was the largest car the company ever built, a massive luxury barge that defined excess in automotive form. While it looked impressive and rode smoothly, this full-size Cadillac suffered from reliability problems that tarnished the brand's reputation. The model experienced electrical issues that plagued owners throughout ownership. Paint quality was inconsistent, with many cars developing premature finish problems despite their premium pricing. The sheer size of this vehicle also created practical problems, as it was incredibly difficult to park and maneuver in urban environments. Fuel economy was atrocious, with most owners reporting consumption in the low teens at best, making it expensive to operate during an era of rising fuel costs. While the Fleetwood offered plush interiors and impressive road presence, it represented a philosophy of bigger is better that was rapidly becoming obsolete. The downsized 1977 models that followed proved far more successful, showing that Cadillac's supersized approach had reached its limit. Number 5. 1979 Ford LTD. The newly downsized 1979 Ford LTD should have been a success story. After years of watching GM dominate with its downsized full-size cars, finally responded with a more modern, efficient design. However, the execution left much to be desired. In comparison tests against the Chevrolet Caprice, the LTD consistently came up short in objective measurements. It was slower in acceleration tests, achieved worse fuel economy despite its smaller engines, and most alarmingly, showed dramatically inferior braking performance. The LTD's braking distance was an alarming 66 feet longer than the Caprice in 60-0 testing, a dangerous deficiency that should have raised serious safety concerns. The interior quality was inconsistent depending on trim level, with base models featuring cheap-looking materials and crank windows that seemed out of place in a full-size Ford. Number 4. 1975 Chevrolet Caprice. The Chevrolet Caprice was America's most popular full-size car throughout much of the 1960s and early 1970s. But the 1975 model had significant issues that frustrated owners. While mechanically more sound than some competitors, this model year suffered from quality control problems, including paint that peeled prematurely from roofs and rocker panels. Interior materials degraded quickly, with seats requiring rebuilds after just a couple of years of use. The electrical system was problematic, particularly the windshield-mounted antenna that produced terrible static when wipers crossed over it during rain. Owners reported being unable to get more than 8,000 miles from spark plugs before they required replacement, an unusually short service life that indicated underlying engine tuning issues. The 1975 model represented the peak of Chevrolet's supersized approach, an absolutely massive vehicle that prioritized size over practicality. Number 3. 1978 Oldsmobile Delta 88 with diesel engine. General Motors' attempt to offer diesel power in passenger cars became one of the greatest automotive disasters of the 1970s and 1980s. The 1978 Oldsmobile Delta 88 with the new 350 cubic inch diesel V8 was rushed to market after only 5 years of development, far less than the typical development time required for a new engine family. In their haste to meet CAFE standards and capitalize on cheaper diesel fuel, GM engineers made catastrophic compromises. They based the diesel on Oldsmobile's gasoline V8 architecture, using the same headbolt pattern and even the same headbolts designed for much lower gasoline engine compression ratios. The insufficient headbolts stretched and broke under diesel's much higher cylinder pressures, leading to blown head gaskets that allowed coolant to leak into cylinders, causing hydrolock and complete engine destruction. Number 2. 1976 Dodge Aspen. The Dodge Aspen was named Motor Trend Car of the Year for 1976, but it quickly became notorious as among the most recalled vehicles in automotive history. This car was Chrysler's replacement for the popular Dart, designed to offer more interior space and modern features in a downsized package. However, Chrysler rushed it to market to generate desperately needed cash flow, and the result was catastrophic. First-year buyers essentially became final product testers, discovering numerous serious defects that should have been caught before production. The most expensive problem was premature fender rust, which led to Chrysler recalling every single 1976 and 1977 Aspen built for possible replacement of front fenders. This cost the company $109 million it could ill afford. The fenders lacked galvanization and inner liners, causing them to rust through within months in some cases. Number 1. 1974 Chrysler New Yorker Brougham. The Chrysler New Yorker Brougham deserves the number 1 spot on our list because it combined almost every problem that plagued 1970s American cars into one expensive package. This massive sedan debuted in 1974 with completely new slab-sided styling, arriving just as the 1973 oil embargo devastated sales of large cars. At over 230 inches long and weighing well over 4,500 pounds, it was powered by the 440 cubic inch V8 that struggled to achieve even 10 miles per gallon in real-world driving. The timing of its introduction could not have been worse, as buyers were fleeing large cars just as Chrysler had invested heavily in designing these behemoths from the ground up. quality control was a persistent problem, with owners reporting rattles, vibrations, electrical failures, and inconsistent fit and finish between supposedly identical cars. The car felt cheap despite its luxury pretensions, suffering from the sloppy build quality and mechanical problems that characterize Chrysler products during this troubled period. Seats often lacked proper support despite their pillow-look styling, and the gauge clusters failed with alarming regularity. Performance was sluggish despite the large engine, as emissions controls choked power output while making the engines prone to stalling and difficult starting. Maintenance costs were astronomical given the complex features and poor reliability.